Feel very real for both sets of players today as they continue to acclimatise and prepare for what lies ahead. The World Cup finals are only 5 days away now, with the opening game in Mexico City on Thursday between Mexico and South Africa. But for both England and New Zealand, their opening engagements come just a few days after that. New Zealand play their opening match on Tuesday week, that's the 16th of June, against Iran over on the west coast in Los Angeles. And a day later, on Wednesday the 17th, England's first game brings them up against Croatia in Dallas. So those fans who've gathered there for the match today will have a little holiday time before the group matches get underway for their team. Thomas Tuchel and his squad have been in West Palm Beach since arriving in America last Monday. They've been in town for a few days now. This the first of two final run-outs before the real action starts. They've also got a friendly with Costa Rica, that's in Orlando on Wednesday. As much as anything, these games to keep the players ticking over, get some minutes in their legs in the prevailing conditions and get them more used to the heat they can expect over the next month or so. Same goes for the fans as well, I suppose. There'll be a few pink-faced English supporters over the next week or so, or next month or so maybe. Who knows? Not a great deal of history in this fixture. England and New Zealand have gone head-to-head just twice before. Both of those meetings took place within less than a week of each other, over 3 decades ago. Gary Lineker scored the only goal in the first of them. That was in June of 1991. And a few days later, it was 2-0 to England. Stuart Pearce and David Hirst, the goal scorers in that one. What about New Zealand then? Well, they're the lowest ranked team at the 2026 World Cup finals, but they cruised through qualifying, beating New Caledonia, who were ranked 151st in the world, 3-0 in the Oceania final. So there's no doubt the All Whites are very much a big fish in a small pond in their part of the world, and a shift of mindset is required for their first World Cup finals in 16 years. Having dominated possession against Oceania's minnows, they've adopted a more defensive approach in recent friendlies, though did come unstuck spectacularly the other day, losing 4-0 to Haiti. You know, there has been some talk about the pitch in the build-up to the game, and it does look a little like a patchwork quilt visually from above, as it's not been in place for long, having been recently laid, but it is a natural grass surface for the occasion in this NFL stadium. We've heard Thomas Tuchel talking about it ahead of the game. He's played it down since arriving at the stadium, of course, the regular home of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers here. We hear that the pitch plays better than it looks and is perfectly okay. It's stitched together okay. New Zealand have trained on it prior to today. But friendly or not, it looks a pretty daunting match for the Kiwis, particularly in the light of their most recent game the other day. As the lowest ranked side at this tournament, they're hoping to defy expectations, but that 4-0 warm-up defeat to Haiti, who are just 3 places above them in the world rankings at 83, suggests it could be a tall order, a defeat that certainly left them feeling rather shell-shocked. England's players there wandering through, Ollie Watkins, Morgan Rogers and Marcus Rashford bringing up the rear. There's the number 9, the captain of New Zealand, Chris Wood of Nottingham Forest. James Trafford there, one of the England reserve goalkeepers, just wandering across our picture. Plenty of England fans inside the stadium. Dean Henderson there on the left of your picture, the Crystal Palace goalkeeper, who's just won the Conference League, of course. Jude Bellingham there as well. We'll expect to see all of these players in the second half. Thomas Tuchel's going to make wholesale changes. He'll change the whole team at half-time. That's certainly the plan, anyway, from his point of view. Expecting around, we think, 17,000 inside the stadium today, in a stadium that holds about 68. And away we go in Tampa. It's England against New Zealand. England in the red shirts, kicking from left to right in the first half. First touch there for Jordan Henderson. And Rashford chasing after it. And Tim Payne gets the deflection. So it will be a goal kick for New Zealand. Max Crocombe there goalkeeper, leaving it for Michael Boxall. Boxall is very much on home territory, really, being in the United States this month, having spent the best part of a decade with Minnesota United in the MLS. That's Rogers. Played in just past Ollie Watkins, who'd made the run ahead of Harry Kane. There's Kakache. He's had a really frustrating first season in Wales with Wrexham in the Championship. Kakache there, relieved to see that one go behind. Injury ruled him out for much of the season. He's only made 13 appearances for them, but another player who's returned to fitness in time for this trip to North America in the World Cup finals. Marcus Rashford with the first corner of the match in the second minute. That's John Stones going for it. It'll be collected here by Henderson, who, by the way, turns 36 on the day of the opening game against Croatia, and could become the fourth Englishman to play in 4 different World Cups. A little too much on that throw there from Max Crocombe. Here's Mark Gay, who settled into life seamlessly with Manchester City during the season. Stones, who didn't have too many outings in his final campaign at the Etihad. Every minute will be important to him between now and the opening game against Croatia. Here's Kane, just dragging it away from Singh. Quansah winning his second cap today. He'll try and get on the end of that short little pass from Morgan Rogers, and he's managed it as well, drilling that one in. Boxall was there originally, comes out towards Just. New Zealand survived. They've won 1 match from the last 10 they've played, New Zealand. That was back in March. Good win for them, 4-1 against Chile. Here's Watkins. Quansah finding Henderson. A lot of experience in the England squad at these finals. It's England's most experienced ever squad in terms of World Cup appearances. 22 of the 26 players named in the squad by Thomas Tuchel have won a trophy in the last couple of seasons as well. And their talismanic captain Harry Kane has had the most prolific campaign of his season. 13th match in charge for Thomas Tuchel. 2 defeats so far, 9 victories. Here's Gay. Rashford's delivery, met by Finn Sermon. But here come England once again. Busy looking figure of Rashford, the little layoff. Henderson with the shot, striking Morgan Rogers. And just out of play off the chest of the New Zealand captain. There's Darren Baisley, the head coach of New Zealand, English head coach. Used to be a player, made more than 450 appearances for Watford, Wolves and Walsall during his career. He's been part of the coaching setup for a long time with New Zealand, 15 years or so. Jed Spence to take this one. Thomas Tuchel liking what he offers the squad, feels he gives them something a little bit different, and of course can play on the left or the right. Always a starter for Tottenham. Here's Stones. Notable that in the opening minutes of the game, more often than not, Watkins moving to the right with Rogers in a more central position, but when England are attacking and Kane goes for a wander. Watkins does head straight into the middle, but now an opportunity for New Zealand to break potentially, but nobody there as it was sent square by Elijah Just. That's tidy from Pickford away to Rashford. Kobbie Mainoo over on the far touchline. Good second half to the season Kobbie Mainoo had. Didn't start a game in the Premier League for Manchester United until the middle of January this season, and then flourished once Michael Carrick had taken over. He 23 appearances in the Championship this season. Crocombe, the goalkeeper for Millwall, he was on the bench for the playoff semi-final against Hull. Just unable to pick out Wood in the middle. Here's Quansah. A free kick there for the challenge on Rashford. He had a pretty good season on loan with Barcelona. Scored 14 goals, set up 11 others. But interesting with Anthony Gordon signing for them in the past week or so. Rashford, of course, having been on loan from Manchester United. Henderson. Closed down by Sarpreet Singh. Here's Gay. He captained England for the first time in the one of the March friendlies. Mainoo. Promising flow to this one. Now it's with Jed Spence up against Tim Payne. Support from Mainoo, who finds Henderson. Time to try and pick the ball in, and England hinting at an attacking threat of real intent for the first time. Just enough on that defensive header to carry it behind for the second corner of the game. It was a free header there for John Stones. It's only half cleared. And New Zealand survived that scramble inside their own 6-yard box. Maybe an opportunity to just get a foot on the ball for a moment. England pressing, playing something akin to their regular game despite the hot conditions. But now Chris Wood with a chance to advance into the box for the first time. Still Wood, and Mark Gay does enough to block his path to goal. Encouraging for New Zealand. Great running there by Wood, the pass finding him. England 73% possession so far in the match. Expect them to have the vast majority of the play. Just the 2 defeats during Thomas Tuchel's tenure so far. The friendly game against Senegal, roughly this time last year at the City Ground in Nottingham, and then the last match before this one at home to Japan at Wembley. Quansah. Rodgers. He Europa League winner now with Aston Villa. Starting this match alongside his teammate Ollie Watkins. Ezri Konsa, the other Villa player in the squad, on the bench in the first half. Here's Rodgers looking to pick the pass. It was aimed for Ollie Watkins. And again, New Zealand try to pick out their captain. Record appearance maker and goal scorer. That's nicely done, and the little flick into the middle made by Matt Garbutt, collected now by Just. And Singh skews the shot wide of the goal. Couple of promising forays deep into England territory in the last 2 or 3 minutes, though, from New Zealand. Okay, he looks to try and keep the ball away from Marko Stamenic. Pressure there on Pickford. Kane really deep inside his own half. Mainu will get the free kick for the foul by Singh. It was the previous corner from Rashford and the header from John Stones, who is making his 88th appearance for England today, has scored 3 goals in that time. 2 of them in one match against Panama at the World Cup finals in Russia in 2018, when England won 6-1. Lovely feet there from Marcus Rashford. Opening the space up for Spence, who's able to get there, and it goes towards Rodgers. Collision there between Rodgers and Finn Surman. Surman's another one based in the United States with Portland Timbers. Like most of these players for New Zealand at the World Cup, will be at the World Cup finals for the first time this year. Chris Wood and Tommy Smith, who plays for Braintree Town in the 5th tier of the English setup, set to make history as the only New Zealanders to feature at 2 editions of the World Cup. Both of them were part of the squad in 2010. That was the last time they were at the finals. But here goes Ollie Watkins now with an opportunity for England, which has been sent some distance wide. First clear sighting of goal for the England striker today. Watkins just drilling that one into the floor and way wide. He's been in outstanding form in the closing couple of months of the season. Wasn't involved in March in the squad, and used that as fuel, and was so good for Villa in the run-in. Here's Boxall. Kakache. Singh leaves it. Wood trying to craft a pass. Goes back to Wood once more. This is Stamenic sending it back. And Surman away to the far side to Payne. This is better from New Zealand. England, they were looking for a non-existent offside. This is Singh. Back in now to Stamenic. Surman finding Michael Boxall. Possession rather easily conceded there by Max Crocom's ball out. Well, 15 minutes in, no one's had an attempt on target yet. Predictably, England with more of the play, just over 70% of the possession. Jarell Quansah. Rodgers. Here's Watkins now. Up against Kakache. Support from Rogers. Got right underneath that one. Spence has that one covered. Rashford's there as well. John Stones just a little bit short with that one, but that's well worked by Watkins. Jordan Henderson back into Ollie Watkins. Has got Rogers ahead of him. Rashford up against Payne. Kane from distance brings the save. Beautifully struck from England's captain. First effort on target of the match. There's Morgan Rogers now, holding two at arm's length. Jarell Quansah getting involved and collected by Rogers once more, just trying to slide that one through to Kane. All deflecting off Henderson, who says it hit him in the face, and that says that it wasn't a handball. Referee Natalie Simon has given the free kick to New Zealand. Here's the shot from Kane. Straightforward enough in the end for Max Crocombe, straight at him, but it was well struck. Singh. Stamenic sending it out wide to Payne on the far side. Matt Garbutt collecting. Good play. Joe Bell. Just a slight miscue there by Stamenic, and suddenly New Zealand are going to be backpedaling here as Rogers sends it forward and Marcus Rashford gets up to full speed. Excellent defending. Good block by Finn Surman. Quansah. Sent in by Henderson. Back in towards Kobbie Mainoo. Off the boot on the byline of Marcus Rashford, but England threatening here once more. It was Watkins who'd gone for the header in the middle initially. But that midfield passing move breaking down for New Zealand, and they almost paid a price for it. Roughly 20 minutes in. Quansah. Only his second cap for England today. Here's Ollie Watkins. Into Kane. First time those two have started together for England. Surman with the clearance. Henderson's header down. Rogers collects. England have another corner. Hot work out there. Interesting to see how much England will be able to play their regular game in terms of set plays with a lot of blocking and grappling. You can get away with a lot more in the Premier League than in some other leagues. Officials may clamp down a lot, and the shot was very firmly struck by Spence. They certainly have plenty of group games to watch before they take to the field, England, to see how referees are monitoring activity in the penalty areas before free kicks and corners are taken, as well as when the ball is in play. See how much they're clamping down. It's Rashford, and the block is made by Garbutt. Garbutt's one of the New Zealand players who's based in England. He plays for Peterborough United, winning his 34th cap today, the number 7 for New Zealand. Kane just moves it away from the traffic into a little bit more of a spacious area of the pitch, and that was optimistic there from Jed Spence. We now have a break as we head for the midway point of the first half. Cooling break for both sets of players in the Florida sunshine. Quarter of the way through the game. Time to hydrate. Time for any tactical tweaks. An opportunity to just cool down a little bit for a couple of minutes before resuming the match. This will help the players to get into this rhythm. We will see this at every game during the finals, and the players, given the heat that they're likely to encounter as the World Cup wears on, are going to need it as well. Well, New Zealand able to hold England at arm's length for a quarter of the game so far. Thomas Tuchel quick to get right in there and explain precisely what he wants, and presumably not what he's not quite getting at the moment. Just a reminder that the Arsenal contingent in the England squad have been given a little bit more time, of course, following the Champions League final of last week. So Noni Madueke, Berrieza, Bukayo Saka and Declan Rice not involved in this one. England have Josh King of Fulham, Ethan Nwaneri of Arsenal, who've been on loan at Marseille, Alex Scott of Bournemouth, and Rio Ngumoa, the exciting 17-year-old from Liverpool, on the bench today. They are part of the squad at this early stage. Not part of the actual World Cup squad, but valuable experience for all 4 of them. And on the bench today, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The Raymond James Stadium in Tampa. Darren Bazley there, just slightly obscured at the moment in the black polo shirt there. Head coach of New Zealand, set to become the first person ever to coach all of the FIFA men's international tournaments, an under-17 World Cup, under-20 World Cup, men's Olympic tournament and a FIFA World Cup as well. So that just illustrates how integral he's been to the whole coaching structure within New Zealand football for a considerable amount of time now. So ready to go once more after our scheduled break. That's a long chase for Chris Wood. John Stones with the head start. Pickford under a bit of pressure there. Stones as well, and